What's up, guys? Welcome to Mikey Yourself. In today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to install an air pressure gauge into the 17 Ram here. And so I'm doing this because, as you know, if you watched the video, I put the air suspension in the rear of the truck. And, you know, not that I changed the pressure at all, but I want to be able to monitor it and know where it is. And because I don't check it frequently, I want to be able to just quickly reference a gauge within the cab of the truck and not have to worry about getting a tire pressure gauge or something and do it at the back side of the truck here. So strictly just for monitoring purposes, I went ahead and purchased this gauge through Empire Cycle on eBay. Again, for like about 40 bucks, you get the gauge. They provide you with a T-fitting and this 1/8 NPT fitting that goes to your 1/8 diameter tubing. And then this gauge is the illuminated 2-inch gauge from Viair, and it goes up to 160 psi. This kit on my truck for the Monroe suspension is a max of 150 psi, so this gauge will work fine for my cause. And to make this mounting a little bit better, I went ahead and bought this aftermarket 2-inch gauge cluster or swivel pod, whatever you want to call it. And it's not perfectly aligned to the gauge, so I may have to do some drilling to kind of open up either this existing opening to align better with the adapter there, so my air line isn't kinked or anything like that, or I may just drill on the side of it. I don't know. I have to see where I want to put it in the truck first. I bought some additional 1/8 OD air line, so that way I can run it from the air shock to the cab, and then I'm going to cover it just to help provide a little bit of additional protection for it with some wire loom. This is a lot bigger than what it needs to be, but it's what I have, and so I'm going to go ahead and use that to bring it in. And then what's nice is this gauge is illuminated, and the gauge came with a really cheap bulb, so I've swapped that bulb already with an LED bulb just to make it a little bit brighter. And as part of this installation, we're going to figure out where to connect that so that way I can dim it with the truck controls as well. So first things first, we need to look at how we're going to run this wiring. So the approach I'm going to take on this is I'm going to access my shock by removing this shrouding here. So on this side, I don't have any T-fittings today. On the other side, I have a T-fitting, and that's what leads it back to the port to put air into it. So I'm going to tap in here, and this is on the driver's side, and then I'm going to just kind of go underneath the truck and then figure out where in the cab we're going to mount this. So let's figure that out now. All right, so in the cab of the truck, you know, a lot of gauge pods, they kind of go up into this area here, and you know, in my particular case, because of this handle, and I want to say there might be some airbag in there, I'm not sure. I know typically there's an SRS embossment or something there to let you know. I don't see it, but just in case, I'm not going to mess with that. Plus, you know, it'll be more exposed stuff. So my thoughts are I can either mount it here, but it'll be in the way of my screen, or I can do it here by my leg area. So I've got a blank panel here. I've got this area down here where there's lots of room. And then even on the right side, I have this open area here, which I think is pretty ideal. What I just need to be aware of is that, you know, again, my leg's not going to hit it when I'm fully seated in the truck. I can also choose to kind of mount this down in here, in this area, kind of by my pedal commander. And this thing comes with double-sided tape, so you can choose to not drill and just tape it on. It's kind of user preference. So I'm gonna kind of futz around with this a little bit just to get an idea of where I want to put it on my truck, and once I figure that spot out, I'll bring y'all back. All right, so did a bunch of checking around, like where I wanted to put this thing, and where I'm landing is right here by the center console. This part doesn't move, so I don't have to worry about that. Now it's about finding how to get the tube into the cabin of the truck from the outside. And I think I found my spot that I'm going to use, so I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. All right, so under the truck, you can see that there's plugs. So I've got multiple plugs. This one is right below the driver's seat. So I'm going to drill a hole through that and the carpeting, and it's going to pop up under the seat. And then I can go ahead and sneak my air line through. And the reason I'm going all the way through the carpeting is because if I don't, then the pressure of the carpet is going to bend the tube, and it's going to put a kink in it, right? And then I won't be able to get a good accurate reading, and it's going to cause problems. So I want to go through so that way I can take a nice easy bend. It'll be underneath, and because I'm going to the center console, it'll give me a little bit better path to follow to that area for the gauge. So we're going to go ahead and drill the hole and start routing this stuff through, but I've also got to take out that shroud to be able to get over to the... All right, so I've got my line run now under the truck, coming back to this shock strut, and so I added in the T-fitting that came with the kit, added a line going into the shock here. This one goes over to the other side, and this one goes into the cab of the truck. So if we follow that through, I've added some pressure to the system, about 72 psi, and so I'm kind of, like I said, I'm running it underneath the seat. I've got this center console piece loosened up a bit, but you can see there, let me try to get this focused in, I'm sitting at about 72 psi. So I'm just watching it to make sure it doesn't go down. If it does drop, then I'll have to do the soapy water test to find out where I would have a leak. But it's been about, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes already, and the pressure hasn't dropped at all, so I think I'm probably good to go. I'm not running the electrical at this very moment. My first concern is just making sure that I have this squared away. So I did have to modify the bottom here. I had to elongate the hole because the fitting here, this 90-degree elbow, didn't line up with the hole that was in this, but that's okay because it's going to be hitting anyway, since it's going to be down here, attached to the center console here. So that's all going to be hitting, and then all I have to do then at this point is run the electrical for the light on that, and that's going to take me through a different path. I'll have to come up underneath the dash, and what my plan is to tap into this dimmer switch that will drive the lighting. So doing some research, they say it's I think it's an orange with a gray stripe. So as soon as I find that wire, I'll tap into it, run a power line through the underneath the carpet over to my gauge, and then ground it out, and I should be good to go. Got this popped out, and you'll see there's actually 2 orange and brown lines. So in order to figure out which one I'm going to use, I'm going to use my little 12-volt tester here to probe the wire with the headlights on, and then use the dimmer, and I should see my light bulb either get bright or get dim based on how I adjust that. And once I figure out which one of those 2 wires it is, then I know that's the one I'm going to tap into, and then I just, again, run it underneath the carpeting and into the gauge. And then I just found a really good ground right there that I'll use for my ground wire, so I can run both pairs of wire underneath and back up over here. So that way I can go ahead and mount up my my gauge and its lighting. And so far things are looking pretty good. So I'm still about 71, 72 psi. So I'll just have to keep an eye on it. Chances are, if it's going to leak, it's going to happen where the threads are, and that's here. I did spray some soapy water on my T-fitting just to make sure back there I'm not seeing any bubbles, which is what I expect. And yeah, so let me go ahead and get this wiring done real quick. Okay, so I've got everything buttoned up inside the cab here. As you can see, the gauge is now installed, and we're still reading about the 71, 72 psi mark. So it has not lost any pressure over the course of the last like hour or so. So I know that the connections are good, and I do have it hooked up to the lighting, so I'll wait for it to get a little bit darker, and we can take a look at what it looks like with the headlights and the dimming. And yeah, so all in all, it wasn't a difficult installation. It's just, you know, time consuming. So we'll see what it looks like when it gets a little darker. Okay, so it's gotten dark here now, and you can see here the gauge is illuminated. Like I said, I put in the LED bulb, and it looks really good. I'm not sure how bright the original bulb would have been, but I know these LED bulbs are really, really nice. So it lights it up very well. Easy to read. And as I had mentioned, I hooked it up to the wire so I can manage the dim function of it. And that's fully dimmed. Now, it is a LED bulb, and it's just, I don't know if, I'm not sure if it's necessarily made to be dimmed, but that is it at its lowest setting. And then I can turn it on full brightness. Oops, full brightness. So it does work. Looks great. Shows me my pressure, so I can easily tell while I'm driving if I've lost any pressure or if I've got any problems. And it looks awesome in the truck. So I'm super happy about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you enjoyed the content, please become a subscriber. I'd love to hear your feedback. Leave comments below. And if you don't want to miss out on that next video, I produce every Wednesday and Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can hit that notification bell, and it'll let you know when that next video is posted. If you don't want to be bothered with the notifications, just don't hit the bell. So until our next video, I hope to see you in the wind.